what we're using, which I think makes a lot of sense from what I've discovered about its original sound capabilities. Let's move to our first topic. We did want to discuss about how the why of what we are trying to do is so important, and also something that we probably didn't even think about on an online platform from the beginning. So I think it allowed a lot of us to really think about how we're going to distribute the why and in a remote way. What is the overall outcome? What do we want to come from all of this? So Amanda, why don't you start us off with that conversation?
Sure. So this was one of the questions I initially asked as I was working through this, is trying to determine what I was going to do. And initially my dean and others said, great, let's do a YouTube choir, let's do a virtual choir. And I quickly realized that for me and the kind of equipment that I own, that would take an enormous amount of work and technological savvy that I don't have. So I was trying to look at other things that I could do. And then that caused me to say, well, what is it that I'm really trying to achieve with this? So I found a blog that is called Chorus Connection, and Tori Cook is the owner. It's called Chorus Connection. And they talked about this a little bit too. So if you're interested, there is a blog out there. So reasons to do this, staying online to me, were keeping this sense of community. Many of us I know are thinking about this, especially because for our students and for us, we feel a sense of connection and togetherness and purpose when we sing together. Just at the very most basic human level. And so it's very, very, and I think somebody put it up there. Yes, thank you. I just think that's got to be at the core, for me at least, is the human connection. And so how do I keep that going? How do we keep making music, keeping things feeling as normal as possible? For some students, this disruption in their normal schedule flow can be extremely devastating to them. And so I think having a check-in point with the group that they're in can be really, really important to them. So that's some of the places that I started with this. I thought about what are some of the things that we're going to lose if I do nothing. You know, it'd be very easy for me to say, great, see everybody in the fall, I get some free time. But I worry about their musicianship skills continuing to develop. I worry about voice building. You know, they're not singing and they're not having a reason to sing without anybody moderating that or monitoring it. And I worry about them staying connected to each other. So those are kind of the things that's kind of spurned on my interest in trying to find ways to stay connected. And tomorrow I have a meeting with my students via Zoom, where we are going to brainstorm ways that we can create projects and things that are doable without massive technology knowledge, that will help them to feel like they are with one another, but hopefully don't feel like busy work, that feel meaningful, and we'll address some of these things. But I'm very much here to learn from everyone about what those things are. And the technology side of it, I know Stephen will talk about that a bit. I did find one thing called Soundtrap. I just wanted to put that out there, that some people have used to put tracks together of choirs if people are interested. But again, you have to have Logic Pro and some other things in order to be able to edit all of this. So just food for thought as we kind of move forward through this.
Great. I just wanted, I think this is really great, robust conversation, because I just relate to a lot to what Amanda is saying. Since Amanda talked about more project-based as well as community-based and not necessarily a product, and also to incorporate the question we have, Stephen, could you talk a little bit more about how you're doing this, why, what were the overall outcome? Because we do have a question in addition to it, asking what the click track and video, like what did you use to create that?
I used, for my conducting video, I just used my phone to video myself, and then I uploaded that to an unlisted video on the University of Arkansas Choral Studies YouTube channel. So this was universally accessible. The students could then watch it over and over and over. They could watch it on their phone or on a laptop, or without sign in, wherever they could. And if they subscribe to our channel, they can also download that video directly from YouTube. So they had that possibility too, if they only had access to Wi-Fi or something in a single spot. The click track I made in Finale very, very quickly with just the alma mater, which is a 4-part hymn, for lack of a better term. And I used I used the hymn in finale, and then I put a snare drum line on the 5th stave of finale that was just click and quarter notes the whole time. So that worked very, very quickly. And then using the mute and the export function in about 3 minutes, I just said soprano and snare drum export, alto snare drum export, tenor bass drum, tenor and bass with the snare drum and export. So there was then 5 tracks. There was each part individually with the snare drum click, and then there was 1 track that had all 4 parts together with the snare drum click. And then I sent all of those things out to the students so they were able to practice on their own and learn now most of them already knew their parts anyway, from having sung it at various functions, but we did have some new singers who were learning it from scratch. And then I sent them very clear instructions, put your phone in portrait mode. Sorry, not in portrait mode, which is this way, but put it in widescreen mode, which is this way. Make sure that the room is quiet, so lock your cat in the basement. And we had a couple of students who recorded their track in their cars and other curious locations. And then I said, here's the YouTube video and here's the click track. Start the YouTube video, wait 4 seconds, start this track. And everybody recorded them on 1 or 2 shots. Some people uploaded 3 takes. And we had all of the raw footage, both audio and video that we needed, or that I needed to make the rest of that. Now, it'll never go together. I can't just take all of those tracks and put them into a program and it'll sound like garbage. It won't line up. It'll be all out of tune because there's no centralized tuning. None of the people can hear each other. But that's how I did it. Just the video on YouTube that was universally accessible and some very, very quickly made part tracks using the MIDI export function from Finale.
So, I mean, I find that all super valuable because it makes me think of ideas, makes me wonder, even though I'm not the most tech savvy, if I can do it. And I know that's been a lot of what product that everyone has immediately come to, like Amanda said, let's make a virtual choir. Jill, in our pre-meeting, when we discussed to prepare for this, you had talked about how you were really focusing on not